What's up, guys, and happy Monday to you. Welcome to your WWE Raw review for February 12th, 2024, hosted by Greg and Fred. If you're wondering who Fred is, that's the name of the zit that's on top of my nose that I just noticed a minute ago before I went live. Me and my blemishes. So what's up? Greg and Fred back at you here to review Monday Night Raw. Tonight's Raw, we were hoping to get maybe a Cody explanation as to why he decided to take the route that he took in order to challenge Roman Reigns based on everything we saw at the kickoff show. We got a little bit of that, but we also didn't get many answers either. And we also had some more WrestleMania setup, which is what we're going to focus our discussion on tonight, is what they are going to do at WrestleMania with not only Cody Rhodes, but Seth Rollins, who is a big part of this now. Ever since Thursday, the WrestleMania kickoff, then yesterday, Super Bowl Sunday, WWE releases a WrestleMania teaser trailer that kind of has all four men facing off. Rock and Roman on one side, Cody and Seth on the other. You combine that with Triple H mentioning WrestleMania 1 and the tag team match main event in that WrestleMania kickoff. You have to wonder if they're going to do a 40-year anniversary throwback to that with Rollins and Cody against Rock and Roman, maybe on night one or whatever. That's going to be hard to do when Seth Rollins is currently the World Heavyweight Champion and is set to face the winner of the Elimination Chamber at WrestleMania. So that's going to have to be rectified. With Seth's injury, him doing double duty just does not seem possible to me. I could be wrong, but just doesn't feel very likely. And then you have to wonder if maybe he's going to cough up his title via a Money in the Bank cash-in before WrestleMania, opening him up to do the tag team match. Or maybe they're not going to do the tag team match at all. All we know for sure, based on what we saw tonight on Raw, is that Seth Rollins wants to be a part of this WrestleMania angle, and he wants to have Cody's back. So we will talk about the 10,000 different possibilities we now have for WrestleMania. All we really know at this point is Cody versus Roman, but shit, man, we're not even still 100% sure on that. We know they're going to face, but there might be elements added to that match, triple threat, special referee, fatal four-way, maybe Rollins loses his belt and then he gets into the match. Who knows? So lots to get into here. Plus there's the Sami Zayn dynamic that I'm very interested in. A couple of back-to-back losses on Friday and here on Monday night, and they seem to really be focusing on this story of him wanting to be a contender, to be a champion. He's guaranteeing it's going to happen. He believes in himself, and he has high hopes and aspirations for WrestleMania, although it looks like that window is closing, and that's the story they're telling, which makes me suspicious that he's still going to find his way into that Elimination Chamber. So we're going to talk about Monday Night Raw tonight. We're going to talk a little bit of wrestling news. We'll talk about the big news coming out of AEW today regarding Okada. Looks like we know where his landing place will be. And Will Ospreay wrapped up business last night with New Japan in a very heartfelt, or maybe it was the night before, in a very heartfelt goodbye. We'll talk a little bit about, like I said, the WrestleMania, the teaser, maybe yesterday's Super Bowl. Anything else you guys want to get into in terms of the wrestling news, let me know in the chat and we'll try to touch on it. Otherwise, we will talk about tonight's Raw, run through the show, and focus heavily on WrestleMania and speculate our balls off, because I have no idea what they're going to do yet. They're not really showing their hand, which I like. Elimination Chamber, we still have to get through that first before we can really set our sights on WrestleMania. So I'm glad they're not giving away too much of the plot yet. And right now I'm still just a little baffled about what exactly their plans are, because you can see them kind of setting something up, but then you wonder, well, how is that going to work because of all these other elements? So there's a lot to kind of think about, and that's what's fun. It's better to do this than to have a WrestleMania season where you can just see all this shit coming from 10 miles away. Now the WWE has done their pivot and gone in this direction with The Rock apparently embracing this heel persona, which I think he's going to be great at. Give me a heel Rock any day over that nursery rhyme chicken nugget asshole that we saw, that we've been seeing for the past 20 years now, ever since Hollywood Rock, was here in 2003. We haven't really seen that side of him since. Would love kind of like maybe a reboot or a mashup of his old heel Rock theme would be great. Something like that to be all a part of this. I know he's got Cody Crybaby merch coming out. So heel Rock should be fun in this. And I really like kind of the uncertainty of it all, because it doesn't feel like too chaotic. It feels like WWE does want to do the right things for the right thing for the fans here. And as we'll talk about later on with Cody's interview tonight, one of the things that most fans were hoping and, kind of demanding really is that above all else, whatever Cody talks about tonight, he has to offer some sort of an explanation as to why He said on that SmackDown, I'm coming for you, but not at WrestleMania, only to change his mind 6 days later. We basically got our answer, didn't we, tonight? I mean, Cody didn't really give it to us, but he still gave it to us. And he said, I wouldn't be sitting here if it weren't for all of you. You made noise, you had passion, and I have you guys to thank for that. So basically, he said in his promo, I was fucking screwed until you guys pitched a fit. Preach. That's pretty much it. So all the fans that needed an explanation, that's your explanation. WWE Creative didn't want me to face Roman Reigns until you guys freaked out. That's Cody's explanation. That might not be good enough for some people, but it's fine for me. This is not Cody's fault. Everybody's like, man, Cody's going to look like an idiot if he doesn't explain himself. Well, it's the creative that looks idiotic, and it's the creative that is making him look bad. So Cody being honest, I'm fine with that. Oh, they're pulling back the curtain. We know. We already know. We already know. They're not pulling back anything. I don't give a shit about that. So maybe some people aren't satisfied with Cody's explanation, and I can understand from a kayfabe perspective not accepting that. But really, it does mirror a lot of what we saw with Danielson back at WrestleMania 30. And the WWE going into Mania had no plans for him to be a part of that until the fans were like, what the fuck? And then they're like, okay. So sounds like it's a similar situation here. And Cody didn't really, I thought he was going to have some storyline explanation for this. Well, this is a ploy to, and maybe that'll come out later. So maybe even if we didn't get the explanation tonight, maybe that will come at another time, especially if they do the theory that I had that Cody and Rock are pulling an Austin Tyson from WrestleMania 14 and they're really secretly in cahoots in order to get The Rock to be a special guest referee, and then he's the one that stops the bloodline from interfering and cock blocks Roman's interference, allowing Cody to take care of business on his own, beat Roman, win the title, get endorsed by The Rock, hand raised by The Rock, Rock turns back babyface, and then the next night on Raw, Cody can be like, yeah, me and Rock had this shit planned out all along. So you can still explain it if you want to. But in terms of what we got tonight, I think WWE, honestly, a critique of them, they should have been more aware of that because, they don't want to sabotage their own guy just because of shitty creative. We've already seen that happen enough times. And you had enough fans talking about how Cody needed to explain himself and how it looked really weird and how it would look really weird if he didn't explain himself. So WWE's got to think about that too. Don't sabotage your own dude just because you guys don't have your ducks in a row backstage. So that's not cool either. But in terms of what we got tonight, I guess that's really the best we can do in terms of getting a true explanation right now. But don't rule out any further explanations coming down the line. I don't think that's dead and buried quite yet. But it definitely does appear that the theory that some fans had, that WWE had planned this all along and meant for the crowd to shit all over The Rock and stuff, clearly that was not the case. And I think tonight pretty much confirmed that. So anyway, how you guys doing? Happy Monday. How was your Super Bowl yesterday? Shake it off. Shake it off. I blared that with my windows down, driving home from my Super Bowl party last night. Very happy for Tay-Tay and the Kansas City Chiefs, although I wish the Lions would have made it because the Lions would have beat them. Lions would have beat the Chiefs in that game. I'm so pissed that they didn't make it, but I still thought the Super Bowl was fun. Anytime it comes down to the final play, it's always fun, but something about last night just, lacked that enthusiasm that some game-winning drives in the Super Bowl have had before. Romo and Nance had a kind of a bumbly sounding call for that final play. Clock was ticking down. I was wondering why they weren't calling timeout. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And before I could even blink, they've scored, game over. Fun finish. I was in a Kansas City Chiefs house yesterday, so it was a very stressful environment in there. And the fact that they won is cool. I don't think Travis Kelce needs to be bumping his coach like that. But at the same time, those are the type of games I think where the champions just need to be champions. KC didn't have a great year, but never underestimate the heart of a champion. They got 3 rings now. They've been there before, well coached. They should be able to accept the stage and the pressures that come with it. And I was trying to tell all the Chiefs fans in the house who were panicking, I'm like, you guys need to chill because you're only down 3 and then you were only down 7. It felt like it could have been a 3-score lead for San Fran and it wasn't. So I was telling the Chiefs fans in the house, I'm like, I think San Fran's fans are freaking out just just as much as you guys are because they probably feel like they should be winning by more. And then they missed that extra point, which was crucial. And San Fran, I didn't really mind it because they came back on my Lions in the NFC title game to win. So I'm happy that it happened to them. And that Taylor Swift pissed off Fox News and all the fragile conservative men who think that 54 seconds, by the way, which was the amount of time she was on screen, less than 1% of the Super Bowl. I'm not surprised at all that fragile men think 54 seconds is a long time. Not surprised. So anyway, Super Bowl was fun. Hope you guys had a blast. Sorry we weren't here to do a watch along yesterday, but we will be back this week to watch big time WrestleMania 22 this coming Sunday. The link is already up on my channel right now. Changed my mind. I was going to do WrestleMania 5 this Sunday, but I'm like, no, let's go with a more modern one that you guys probably remember a little bit better than a show that came around and aired in 1989. So we will be watching WrestleMania 22 this coming Sunday. So just put that on your calendar. I haven't said hi to anybody yet. Let's do that. I happen to see... Hey, look at there, A and B Convos. I just happened to notice you guys there in the chat. Good to see you. Please go subscribe to their YouTube channel. They do great work over there. They do watch-alongs and reactions kind of like I do. Met you at WrestleMania weekend as well. Always great to see y'all in here. Welcome. And let me cruise to the top and welcome Jordan, brand new shoot brother. Thanks for joining the family and becoming a member. I am so overdue for redoing that members trailer. I need to do that because I've got some changes in there for channel members, and channel members are going to be able to access a lot of exclusive stuff during WrestleMania season. I got a lot of shit planned, so keep that in mind. I want to say hello to my channel members like Jordan, like Zach Palgett, like the Juliet. We also have Titanium Titan in here. Juliet is gifting out a Good Mic Work Commentaries membership to Jay Lambo. Right on. That Juliet, you can always count on her. Stone Cold 10X, good to see you. Isaac is here as well. And we have Divine Ricks chiming in with $5. Thank you for that, my friend. Hey, Greg, I have no idea who's going to win the men's Elimination Chamber match, but to me, loving everything about this road to WrestleMania. You know, I don't know about the chamber match either, but I'm telling you, I've got this thing about Sammy. They're making it really obvious, you know? Like, this isn't some half-ass storyline they're just telling and they're going to pay off in August. You know, they're making this WrestleMania thing a big deal for Sammy. So I don't think they would be doing this for no reason. And even though he lost tonight, even though he lost his qualifier on Friday, you got the Miz in this thing, is one of the qualifying matches. And, Maurice is dealing with some health problems right now. I think it's possible that, Miz is either replaced here or something like that. I'm hoping that Sammy can find his way into the chamber, perhaps last minute somehow, like some second chance attempt or whatever would be great, because I really feel like they're telling something with Sammy. And even though Drew McIntyre's doing terrific work, I'm not sure if McIntyre and Rollins is going to be like your night one main event title match. Plus, we have to think about the whole Rock and Roman Reigns thing, and if they're going to involve Cody in that, and maybe they tell the Elimination Chamber winner to fuck off. You get your shot at Backlash, not WrestleMania. I mean, what are the odds they do that? I mean, I really don't know. I think that if we're going to get some tag team match at WrestleMania and Cody and Roman are going to work double duty, I can't see Seth working double duty on a bad leg, especially, when he's got to defend his title. Well, then again, so would Roman. Maybe it could still work. I don't know. But you could have the tag team match on night one, and then Cody and Seth both defend their titles on night two. That's probably the way it would go. But still, I'm not really sure. But I'm with you, Divine. I kind of like this road because now that panic mode is no longer set in, because we were briefly freaked out there last week when they started that whole nonsense with Cody, but now they're kind of back on track, and maybe even back on track to a point where, again, they've fallen ass backwards into something special, and now we're going to get heel Rock when that probably wasn't the intent. But now it sounds like, as we'll talk about later, that Rock might very well be embracing this character, and like I said, they've got Cody Crybaby merch in the works, apparently. And can I just say something about that? I've laughed at, because there is a little bit of division online. You still have a lot of people that, think The Rock should have gotten the match, and they just like to troll the Cody people because they have no life. But they're the ones that are really like latching onto this crybabies. I'm like, crybaby is a first grade insult. Crybaby is the is the insult equivalent of an arm drag or an arm bar. It's as old as the concept itself. It's as old as a headlock. It's just the most basic. I called a kid a crybaby in the first grade. Haven't used the insult since. So the fact that Rock said it and then latched onto it, I'm like, what kind of heel calls people crybabies? It's so fucking lame. And watching everybody like latch onto it and hashtag Cody crybabies, I'm like, I don't think you guys understand. No Cody fans are offended by this insult. I'm a Cody fan. I don't give a fuck if somebody calls me a crybaby. Call me a crybaby. I'm a grown-ass man. That's the best you got? Crybaby? What are we, 6? I just think it's stupid. But Rock leaning into all of this, and if we're going to get like a heel Rock during all of this, oh my God. I've been wanting this forever. And now it feels like we're getting it by accident. And it's the happiest accident I can remember in wrestling in quite a long time. We have... Trying to hit these channel members. Leo Whalen, good to see you. Also, we have... Oh, I lost you. Where's my other guy? Leo Whalen and Financial Truth. There you go. Wanted to say hello to you as well. Also, let's circle back. Tom the Man, or Tom the Man. Wandering is here. JJ, Green Pea, Denny Downbad, Anthony Alston. Let me read this. What do you say? Hey, good Mike Work. Meltzer brought up an interesting point that Vince would not have booked a Mania where he teased something he wasn't going to deliver. Do you agree? Since we got cock teased, us, Rock, and Roman. I don't know how much Vince had to do with this exactly. I'm not sure. We'll come back to that. But good to see Stephen Harris as well. Right on. A&B convos, excuse me. Check out y'all's channel every now and then. Jeremy Finchen. Good to see you. Gamer, Gooner, Nick Musser is here. Good. We got some mods. We got Daniel Mendola. What up, dude? Mega Teddy, 7th season. Ben Espinoza is here. We have Energizer. Right on. David Brown. Always happy to see you, my friend. Vash Starwind is here. So is Brian. So is Bonkers. So is Sex Machine. Makes 2 of us. So is... Oh, I got you already? All right, that might be it. That might be most everybody. I'm probably missing a couple, and I apologize for that. But welcome. Thank you. Oh, Big J and Decimania and Jonathan. And Daniel Barry Sports Highlights. Hey. Right on. Okay, and Iron Minotaur. I think that's about as best I can do, y'all. We got to get into some stuff here. You guys know the drill. Please do me a favor, smash that thumbs up button for me if you don't mind. And if you are not a subscriber, become one. We are trying to get to 50,000 subscribers by maybe summertime. Would be really awesome. So we're going to take in a lot for WrestleMania season, I'm sure. But would love to get that good old 50K halfway to that little YouTube play button in my background. I got a long way to go. I'm going to be 75 by the time I get one of those things. So anyway, let's talk about, I guess, Raw tonight, or should we get into some wrestling news first? Let's talk about Monday Night Raw. That's what we have to get into. So tonight's Raw, there wasn't a ton on the show in terms of the matches that I was interested in other than the elimination qualifiers, which I felt like both matches were kind of a lock for who was going to win. So that wasn't too surprising. It was mainly about the Cody promo. I wanted to see what Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins were going to have to say about what happened last week. And that was going to be my primary focus because I wanted to know if they were going to be together, if we were going to get an in-ring segment with the 2 of them. I figured we might, and we did. So that was the big news tonight, and we will get there when it's time. But let's start off with what Raw opened with, and that was a 6-man match between Imperium and the New Day and Jey Uso. This was a fun opener, I thought. Good to see Gunther back in the ring doing his thing. And in the end, Imperium was the one that took the loss. Jey Uso hit the splash to Vinci for the win. And New Day and Jey got the victory there. Later on in the night backstage, Jey Uso would be informed that he will be facing Gunther next week on Raw for the championship. So big IC title match set for next week. And you really got to start thinking about Gunther too. I don't think he's going to drop the title to Jey Uso. What I think they should do next week, maybe, unless this is no longer the plan anymore, but I always thought, as of 9 months ago, the plan was to do Jey and Jimmy at WrestleMania. So been waiting for the right opportunity for Jey to get some sort of match for Jimmy to come and fuck it up. And I think Jey Uso should have Gunther beat next week, and then Jimmy fucks him. There you go. And if that's the case, then what does Gunther do at WrestleMania? Or will he still work Jay at WrestleMania in a rematch or something? So Gunther now, if he retains next week, you got to think about what he's going to do. I'm assuming maybe they'll wait until after Elimination Chamber and just put him on a collision course with Braun Breaker. But if it's not Braun, I don't really know who else it would be at this point, because the Chad Gable thing that I've been wanting for a long time just doesn't feel like is happening. You know, I thought after those losses that Gable suffered to Gunther, that WWE would continue to kind of tell that story with him or drop hints that, you know, he's eventually going to get back to that. But he's just been playing games with Maxine and Otis, and nothing's coming of that. So I feel like it's not going to be Gable, which fucking sucks. But we'll see what Gunther does at Mania. Anybody's guess at this point, but it's starting to look like Braun. We had an Andrade vignette. So a little vignette there welcoming Andrade back to the company. Talked about how he had his first match at age 13 and whatnot. So he is going to be doing things on the Raw brand, which honestly did surprise me. I thought they'd chuck him over on SmackDown where Zelina Vega is, but they're going to keep him on Raw. And I would probably assume that when Charlotte gets healthy, the two of them will find themselves on the same brand. I saw a social media post from Tiffany Stratton. It was today or yesterday where she was talking about being drafted to SmackDown on how she's on opposite brands from her significant other, Ludwig Kaiser. And that's probably another thing that's going to be temporary. I think WWE tries their best to keep the couples on the same show, but they probably can't do it all the time. But I feel like there's going to have to be some evening out after WrestleMania, especially if we have champions from or challengers from one brand winning another brand's title, that type of thing. They're going to have to do a draft relatively quickly. So I think, you know, Andrade and Charlotte and Kaiser and Tiffany and Becky and Seth, of course, will all find themselves on the same brand so they can at least be together. That's my guess on that. So that's why I think Andrade came to Raw, because maybe WWE feels when Charlotte is healthy, they're just going to move her to Raw anyway. So that's kind of my feeling there. Ready for Andrade to get rolling back here in the WWE. Hope he does big things. We had our first Elimination Chamber qualifying match of the night. It was going to be Bobby Lashley taking on Bronson Reed. This one was actually pretty good. Reed and Ivar both had qualifying matches tonight, and I was hoping for at least one beefy guy. Not that Lashley isn't beefy. He is. He's a delicious piece of beef. But Lashley and Reed... Reed's got Lashley down at one point, and he hits him just with a sick-ass senton. And there was a woman just dead center in the front row, hard cam right on her, 50-yard line seats for her. And she was just, it looked like it was her first wrestling show. Like her jaw dropped open. I swear she even looked over at her husband or whoever like, holy shit. Like her mind was blown. Watching her mark out for every move in this match was cracking me up. So Bronson hit Lashley with a really sick senton. That would have ended good mic work. There would be no more Greg if he was underneath that instead of Lashley. Luckily, Lashley can absorb it. He gets hit with that though. Bronson goes to the top for the tsunami. Lashley gets up, chucks him off the top rope, and then hits him with his little somersault spear there for the win and advances. And Lashley is now in the Elimination Chamber match. Then we have another one of those sit-downs. Another one of those sit-downs with Sami Zayn, where he's with, I forgot her name, Jackie Redmond. It's kind of the same thing as last week. He's just talking about how he tries not to get down on himself. He's had to go home and think about losses, throughout his whole career. It's nothing new for him. He continues to believe in himself. He continues to believe that he will be a champion. He's very adamant about that he's going to be a champion because of that belief in himself. And that's when Nakamura comes on the video wall there and starts talking smack to him to set up their main event match tonight on Monday Night Raw. And then it was time to hear from the Codester. Here we go. Cody Rhodes comes out to open up the top of the second hour. And this was going to be where we were at least going to hear some sort of perhaps explanation as to why Cody at first decided to balk at finishing his story, only to decide to choose Roman in the end. So as fans, I think a lot of us were of the assumption that WWE is probably going to script some sort of an explanation for him, because a lot of fans have been harping on that. I'm not as obsessed with this as other fans are. I mean, I understand it's important. It is that you do need to explain that, but let's not act like none of this makes sense now just for this one thing. I mean, nothing makes fucking wrestling. What makes sense? Mae Young gave birth to a hand. She gave birth to a hand. Remember? It was on TV. Remember? She gave birth to a hand. So shut up about what makes sense. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. I just watched Ocean's 13. I love those Ocean's movies the other night. I loved them. But did any of that shit make sense? You can move dice, with your lighter, and all these weird ways they went about cheating, and rigging all these games to win. A lot of that defies all sorts of logic and doesn't make any sense either. Even good movies don't make sense. Now, there's a few things in Shawshank Redemption that didn't make sense, but it's considered one of the greatest movies of all time. So let's chill on the making sense. God damn. So Cody did not, however, I'm just saying, like, chill on the making sense. Not that I totally disagree with it. I do agree that Cody needed to provide us with something. And I personally am fine with what he gave us, because now it's switched from him to creative, because everybody said Cody's got to make an explanation. It's going to hurt him. Blah, blah, blah. So he did. He kind of passed the buck. He said, basically, the reason I'm standing here in this ring, after he came out to his music and the ovation and the pop was fucking awesome. And he basically opened up, and the first thing he said was that it was because of us. He said, thank you for making this happen. I'm standing here really because of all of you, which translates to I was fucking screwed. And then you guys pitched a fit, and they realized that I needed to be the plan after all. And it was because of the fans that he's going to be getting that match now against Roman Reigns. So in a way, even though he didn't come right out and say it, he didn't say, hey, it was creative. He just said, you guys are the reason that I am here. So maybe fans needed him. I mean, it's funny how fans are like insisting that he lie. They need to make something up and make up an explanation as to why he did that, when really he was like, I wanted to face him the whole time. They didn't let me. And then you guys made a big stink, and now here I am. And like I said, they can still get to this explanation down the line if they were to, for example, do the Austin and Mike Tyson thing where Cody and Rock are in cahoots. Then Cody can give you his explanation on the Raw after Mania. But at least for here, he didn't really give us one, but he still at the same time gave us one when he thanked the fans for making it happen. So you know what? It's fine with me. It's fine with me. I don't give a shit. It's something. And all things considered, what we were asking WWE to do is to create an excuse out of thin air as to why he did that. And maybe when they were tossing around those ideas, they were all like, this all sounds stupid. The fans are going to see right through this. Maybe it was best that Cody just goes out there and thanks the fans because, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We know what's going on. So maybe that was just their way of dealing with it. I mean, really, we're only talking about 2 seconds on SmackDown TV here when Cody said not at WrestleMania. Those are not at WrestleMania. So it's 3 words that we just need to strike from the record and then everything's fine. So it's not like even though that Friday on SmackDown was weird, nobody liked it, and that was a near catastrophe. I'm not absolving WWE or giving them a pass for that at all. But at the same time, considering in TV and movies and wrestling, sometimes you just forget you said something. And maybe that's just what they're doing here. And I'm not going to be too nitpicky about things because my big concern was Cody's story being derailed. My big concern was WWE giving the fans a match that they didn't want and giving the fans a creative direction that they didn't want. Now things are back on track. If they have to try to clean up the mess that was left in its wake, fine, but it's not a deal breaker. It doesn't completely derail, the fans, I think, enthusiasm or belief in Cody whatsoever, because this is a creative problem, not a Cody problem. So I'm not too concerned about that. Cody then goes on to talk about the WrestleMania kickoff and what happened between him and The Rock. And he mentioned the Cody crybabies. He even said, I wasn't going to come out here and cry and moan because that would make me a crybaby. And then he asks Pat McAfee, who of course does commentary on Raw. He goes, Pat, you remind me again, what was I supposed to do with those nuggets? What does he want me to do with those nuggets? What am I supposed to do? take 2 of the McNuggets and put them up your ass and give me 4 chicken McNuggets. But Cody asks Pat, and Pat's kind of like scared. He's sitting there. He's like, he told you to stick them up your ass. And Cody's like, yeah, stick them up my ass, huh? And Cody said, even when I didn't say anything, I didn't insult their family, they decided to insult mine. And Cody said that Rock slapped him. He goes, I got slapped by The Rock. But the difference is that he is going to hit back. And this is kind of cool. I mean, a potential Cody and Rock match, I actually really like. I like that thought a lot, at least, or maybe even seeing them in the ring together. Like I said, if they made it a triple threat at WrestleMania and Cody stacked both those assholes, that would be super. So Cody basically threatened that, he's going to hit back next time. And that's when Seth Rollins comes out. So we knew we would see Seth. He comes out there. He's got the title. He gets in the ring, and Cody immediately thanks him for stepping in. I appreciate what you did. Rock slapped me. No hesitation whatsoever. Even on a bad knee, you jumped right in there and got in the middle. Cody appreciated that. And then Seth Rollins encouraged Cody to go finish his story. Seems to have made peace with the fact that Cody's not going to choose him, and he understands why Cody is not choosing him now. So that kind of helped that situation. And he encouraged him to go and finish his story, but let him know that, hey, you got there last year and you didn't get the job done. And you fought your way back to win the Royal Rumble again, to where you've got a better shot, or you have another shot. So you should better prepare yourself this time. And basically offered to back Cody up. Said that he doesn't have to fight this battle alone. He feels partly responsible for who Roman Reigns has become, given their history. And he says that he is sick and tired of seeing entitled pricks like The Rock and Roman doing whatever they want. And he offers to be Cody Rhodes' WrestleMania shield. And Cody, I guess, appreciates it. And as Seth is walking away, I think his music starts playing, or maybe Cody's music starts playing. He's walking away. He's just like, think about it. Think about it. So he's basically offering to help Cody Rhodes out here at WrestleMania. So that's interesting, because Seth Rollins has a championship belt around his waist right now. Seth Rollins is going to have a big championship match of his own at that show, assumingly on night 1 against the winner of the Chamber. So if I'm Seth, I got to remember that I still have a hurt knee. I still have to face the winner of whoever comes out of that chamber at WrestleMania. My championship should be my number 1 priority, not Cody. It's almost as if the priority of everybody, the priority of your world heavyweight champion, is to get the other title off of that guy. He'd rather see that than protect his own title. So with Rollins, one thing I will propose, and it's a long shot here, but I was thinking back to the WrestleMania kickoff, and Rollins jumped in there. Do you think there's a chance Rollins is going to go heel? Like, do you think there's a chance that he's in cahoots with Roman Reigns? That's why they've been sending each other such, harsh insults back and forth. The consolation belt, the second bracket, the loser's bracket, all that stuff. Seth Rollins calling Roman, a lazy sack of shit every chance he gets, and a prick, and all that stuff. And not once at the WrestleMania kickoff anyway, there was no punches thrown with Seth and anybody there. So, maybe they try to tell the story where Roman recruits Seth. Seth's just still bitter and has secretly hated Cody the whole time after losing to him for three times in a row a couple years ago. And then maybe Roman enlists Seth to try to get Cody off the path. You should get Cody to challenge you. So I don't want to face him again or something like that. Who knows? I think that's a long shot, but, Rollins could maybe screw Cody at WrestleMania. Who knows? But if, you can't really trust Seth Rollins at the end of the day. But Rollins offering his support just makes me wonder how that's going to work outside of a tag team match. Maybe this is just setting up a Cody and Seth alliance on television, so they have a reason to issue some sort of a challenge for a tag on TV. But like I said, there's like 15 different ways to do this. If Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes are going to team up to take on Rock and Roman at WrestleMania, which I really kind of hope they do, and I feel like that is really a strong possibility given the very first WrestleMania was a tag team main event. Triple H mentioned that in the kickoff, talked about the participants in that match. We do have a celebrity in The Rock, who would basically maybe be in the Mr. T role in something like that. And only this time, this would be like WrestleMania 1, but with Hogan and T as the heels. That's kind of cool. Cody and Seth are going to be your Piper and Orndorff in this scenario. So I do like that idea. I've had a couple of people on Twitter, I don't want a tag match. I don't know why. It'd be kind of cool. I would like to see The Rock in the ring with Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. That would be fun to me. I'd be fine with that. But if they were to do that, what does that mean for Seth Rollins? Is he going to be willing to do double duty? I mean, I guess everybody's going to have to be willing to do this except for The Rock. In this scenario, I think The Rock would be the only one not doing double duty unless, like I said, he gets added and it makes it into a triple threat, or he's the referee. You could do a tribute to WrestleMania 1, 20, and 30 if you do the tag match on night 1 and the triple threat on night 2. And then maybe on night 2, Seth Rollins also defends his championship against the winner of the Chamber. That is one way to make it work, but Seth Rollins would have to do double duty. Hopefully he's okay to do that. Hopefully he's able to do double duty. It's a tag, so he can be somewhat protected. And who knows, maybe his knee will be completely good to go by then. But that was something that we were very, very concerned about right before the Royal Rumble until Punk got injured and WWE went off track there with the Cody stuff. And then we've been freaking out and haven't really thought much about Seth's injury. But he is injured, so he's got to be healthy. He's got to be good to go to make that work. And if he does, then I guess that's what they're going to do. It's just going to be a whole lot of double duty for no less than 3 competitors at WrestleMania, with Roman and Seth Rollins both being in a tag match on night 1 and then both defending their titles on night 2. And then, of course, Cody will have double duty himself. If they do that, like hypothetically, if that's what their plan is to do here, which feels probable, given the WrestleMania teaser released yesterday, where they shot that whole thing with Cody and Seth and Rock and Roman with the face-off. Why would they do that if Seth Rollins is going to face some other complete challenger at WrestleMania and he's not going to have anything to do with this? Why is he a part of the teaser if he's not going to be involved with these guys? Why would Seth Rollins be there with Rock, Roman, and Cody if he was going to be taking on Drew McIntyre for the title? The only way that makes sense is for that tag match to really happen. So I feel like that's what they're going to do. Maybe if Rollins doesn't do double duty, there is the possibility of them getting the title off of him before WrestleMania in the form of a Damian Priest cash-in. Maybe Priest cashes in somehow, or maybe Rock and Roman Reigns jump Rollins on Raw, unannounced. How would you like to see The Rock come through the crowd with Roman, hop the barricade, I guess this would be Jimmy and Solo doing this type of henchman work. But it would be fun if Rock and Roman somehow got to Rollins and laid him out in the ring, and then Damian Priest came down to cash in. Maybe Solo and Jimmy have barricaded Cody's dressing room door so he can't do anything about it. Rock and Roman take out Seth Rollins and just stand there in the ring and just invite. Maybe Rock gets on the mic, Damian Priest, get out here. You've just been given a gift by The Rock and Roman Reigns. And Priest is like, okay, but then maybe Priest can't find his briefcase because R-Truth stole it and hid it. And he's looking everywhere for it and he can't find it. And R-Truth has got it, and fucking in the boiler room, and he's repainting it with all the Judgment Day names on it or something. And Priest can't find it. And he loses his opportunity all because R-Truth jacked his briefcase. Who knows? But that would be one cool thing to do, have Rock and Roman Reigns give Priest the endorsement on, maybe after Elimination Chamber on Raw or something like that. Now Priest is the champion. Now he can face the winner of the Elimination Chamber, and you can put that match just on night 1 somewhere. And now Seth Rollins is free to do that tag team main event. But even though I said it feels like double duty for Seth wouldn't be likely, now that I kind of think out loud, I think it probably is likely. So I think that's what they're going to do. If it's not going to be that, then my question is, what the hell's Seth doing in that teaser? And what is going to be the end result for Cody and Roman Reigns? And what role will The Rock play? Because one thing that is for sure is that The Rock is going to be a part of WrestleMania. And he was, up until just a few days ago, scheduled to compete at WrestleMania. So I don't think Rock would just decide to not compete now? So I'm curious what's going on behind the scenes, like what kind of compromises were made and how this all came about once they realized that, okay, not doing Cody is probably going to be a bad idea. What do we do now instead? And for The Rock to willingly, I guess, be okay with, okay, I'm not going to be main eventing with Roman Reigns now. I'm going to be main eventing night 1 with 3 other guys. I really hope The Rock's ego can handle that, because if it does, I will have a whole new respect for him. If Rock goes heel and he embraces this and he does what's right for WWE and their fans and for what people want to see, then I got no issue with The Rock being involved in wrestling at all, because I like The Rock. I don't want to dislike The Rock. But I got a little nervous there when he looked like he was horning in on our WrestleMania plan. So I feel like that, where we sit now, is the most likely possibility. And with Sami Zayn, like I said, he's going to lose the main event tonight to Shinsuke Nakamura, but more importantly was he lost on Friday, and that was an elimination qualifier against Randy Orton, and they've been doing these sit downs with him and stuff. And like I said, it would be great if he was able to find his way into the chamber last minute and then win the chamber. And that would put Cody in a tight spot, because Cody tonight on Raw offered Sami Zayn his well wishes, told him that he believes in him, and Cody and Sami are good friends on camera. And Cody and Seth are becoming friends and are starting to develop a strong respect for each other. And Seth Rollins has offered to help Cody at WrestleMania, which Cody has to be very much appreciative of. But also, Sami Zayn won the chamber and is going to face Seth Rollins also at WrestleMania, maybe in that night 2 match. So Cody's like, yeah, luckily everybody's a babyface in this situation, but it might put Cody in a interesting spot. Seth Rollins might be like, hey, Cody, who are you rooting for? Who are you rooting for tomorrow? Me against Sami. Who do you want to see win? Cody's like, don't make me say that. You're my WrestleMania shield. So you're saying you want me to win and retain? No, I kind of want Sami to win. Oh, fuck it then. Who knows? I think it might just be a fun dynamic if you had some of these stories overlapping a little bit. I'm not usually a fan of storylines overlapping and, and umbrella plots and things like that, but this would be fun. I think it would just add like more dynamics. And I think that was one of my main issues all year as it related to this year's WrestleMania, because I mentioned it time and time again. Whatever you do with Cody, it obviously feels like he's going to be winning the title at WrestleMania 40. Take us on a ride. Take us on a ride. Just don't make it clear as day fucking obvious. And I think it's pretty safe to say that nothing at this point is obvious. That might change after Elimination Chamber, but right now I still think there's a lot of different possibilities. So if you have any crazy fantasy bookings that you want to relay there in the chat, feel free to hit me with them. After that, we cut backstage to Jey Uso and the New Day. That was where Jey was informed of his IC title match next week. And then we got Liv Morgan taking on Zoe Stark. This was another elimination qualifier. Now, this one, much like Lashley and Bronson, wasn't too tough to figure out. Shayna Baszler lost her qualifier. Her and Zoe seemed to be targeting those tag team titles. So Zoe winning here, even though I think she'd be great in the Elimination Chamber, just put Zoe and Ivy Nile and just all the badasses in there. That would be fun to watch. But I didn't feel like it was going to be Zoe in this one. It was going to be Liv Morgan, and it was. Zoe missed her top rope corkscrew thing, and then Liv Morgan was able to hit the Oblivion for the win and qualify for the Chamber, and she seems pretty hell-bent on finishing a story of her own. But I really think WWE is doing a poor job of this Women's Elimination Chamber, because they're just making it way too obvious that it's going to be Becky. I like the Becky and Rhea match at WrestleMania. I think that's going to be great, but I feel like the Women's Elimination Chamber match is pointless. I think you're going in there, putting miles on these women's bodies when you don't need to, and you should have made it a little bit uncertain and unclear who was going to win. Like, it might have even been fun to, I don't know, not have Becky and Rhea interact much up until this, to kind of make you like, oh shit, Becky and Rhea, oh, that's going to be amazing. Like, maybe hit you with it in the face like that, to where, maybe Becky's not quite on your radar. But I think they've been making it pretty clear for months now that that's the match we're going to have. Last year, I thought this match was going to be Rhea and Bianca. I think even last year I predicted that. So it's not going to be that. They're going to hold off on that a little longer. And Becky Lynch, I guess, will just win the chamber right there in Perth, or win the chamber match. So we are backstage again. We have Judgment Day cruising down, looking fly as always, all the gold, and Finn Balor, just looking awesome. And R-Truth kind of shows up behind him, and he's got a match tonight against JD McDonough. And he's told once again by the Judgment Day that he is not in the Judgment Day. And then Damian Priest gets real serious with him. But we've already seen Damian Priest get real serious with him before, and it doesn't seem to affect him at all. But this time Priest is like, look, you are not in the Judgment Day. You are not initiated. You've never been a part of this fucking group. We might have had some laughs before, but I'm sick and goddamn tired of this. You got to understand that you are walking out there to an execution. And then that might have finally got Truth to understand, because we go to commercial. I think we come back and R-Truth is at Gorilla and his music is playing. Adam Pearce is just losing his fucking shit. And his music is playing, but he doesn't want to go out yet. He wants to call the Miz first. The Miz, who's in LA, and Truth says, how long does it take to get from LA to Lexington? And so he calls Miz. He goes, Miz, I'm probably going to be in my match when you get this voicemail, but he's basically telling Miz to get on a plane and get to Lexington so he can come down to the ring and save him. Truth believes this is possible with our current laws of physics, that Miz is going to make it. Pierce is losing it. He can't even take it anymore. He walks away, but Truth seems to acknowledge, because he told Miz on the phone, he goes, Judgment Day is going to kill me. So he seems to understand what's happening. So then we go to the ring. It's JD McDonough versus R-Truth, and JD gets the win. That little weird-headed fucker got the win with his devil inside for the win. I guess McDonough, devil inside is in excess, right? He kind of looks like Michael Hutchins. Don't ever Google how he died, by the way. He's such a weird looking guy. I just can't get over how weird he looks. But anyway, he beat R-Truth with his finisher. And then, of course, we get the 4-1 beatdown of R-Truth by Judgment Day. They're all putting the boots to him. And I was wondering who's going to come out and make the save. Turns out to be DIY. They come out, they run off the Judgment Day. And then later on backstage, R-Truth thinks that he was saved by DX, not DIY. So I guess Ciampa looks a little like Bald Sean. Maybe. So, but Gargano does not look like Triple H. Gargano was the size of Triple H's leg. So that doesn't work. But anyway, R-Truth thought DIY was DX. Gotta love R-Truth. Protect that man at all cost. After that was when we got that little Cody and Sammy backstage bit, I think. And that's when Cody encourages Sammy, little tap on the ass, tells him that he believes in him too. I love their friendship. I love Sammy. Those are like my two favorite guys in the business right now. That's when you know I'm getting old. I'm a fan of two lame white meat baby faces. I don't think either one are lame, but neither one of these guys are really that edgy. So if you need me, I'll be over here eating some Fruity Pebbles. So Cody gives Sammy a little pat on the ass, wishes him luck. I like that. And then Becky Lynch is out for a promo. She's in her Kill Bill gear this week. And that's when I decided to take a shower. My shower is right over there. I can see the TV, which is right here, my monitor, from the shower. So I'm showering. I'm lathering up. Soapy, Greg. And I can see everything that's going on. And I'm like, okay, Becky's talking. Then I see Nia Jax come out. I'm like, okay. And then she's talking. Rhea's probably going to come out. And I'm watching. I can't hear shit in the shower. But then as soon as I shut the shower off, I'm to the point where Nia Jax is acting all sappy. She's trying to pretend like she gives a shit about Becky and her kid and all that stuff. And I can barely even hear what she's saying, but because I'm drying off, but I can hear the tone of her voice. And I'm like, I'm not even watching. I'm like, it's got 8% of my attention. And I'm like, Nia's full of shit. Nia's full of shit. And then she says something to reveal that, of course, she was full of shit. And that's when Rhea Ripley comes out. Of course, Rhea and Nia are on a collision course for the chamber. Rhea comes out. There's a big brawl between the three of them, little avalanche spot in the corner, and Becky goes down. Then she hits a missile drop kick from the top. Nia Jax winds up retreating, and the three of them are going to be kind of your Mania focal point. I think Rhea Ripley absolutely will beat Nia Jax at the Elimination Chamber. She better. And then Becky Lynch will win the chamber, and then it's going to be Becky and Rhea. I don't know if they would try to do something here like a triple threat and try to keep Nia Jax in the mix, considering how, well she's been used, really, honestly, since she's been back. But I don't see it. I think Becky and Rhea, that's one on the marquee. You should just leave one-on-one, and that's probably what we're going to get. After that, we had a Drew McIntyre promo where he basically just talked about his match with Cody Rhodes next week. So that's a big one. That's a big-time Raw match, Cody and McIntyre. So big, in fact, that I would argue something like this should be saved for maybe your go-home Raw, your go-home Mania Raw. Like back in the day, they used to do big go-home matches, remember? There was one right before WrestleMania 14, Rock and Austin. One of the early Rock and Austin matches. It was just one-on-one, and Austin beat him. And then I think there was that big one with like the NWO and Rock and Austin. Wasn't that one of them too? And there's been some big go-home Raw matches for Manias. And I think Drew and Cody, just one-on-one solid main event between two of the best, would be good to do. But they're going to do that next week instead. And a lot of people have been singing the praises of McIntyre, as have I. I think McIntyre is great. He's always been one of my favorites. Even when fans started turning on him a couple of years ago, I was like, I like him. He's big, he's bad, he's awesome. He's very Rick Rude, Razor Ramon-ish, only maybe a little bit more athletic. And he's believable, as a monster and somebody who could put down Brock Lesnar. I really wish he would have been able to have that moment at WrestleMania 20. And I've always liked Drew. Now, but as a babyface, and the sword and all that, that was only so intriguing, and this new version of him being a troll, the CM Punk shirt, he's being vicious, killer, and I like a sadistic McIntyre because somebody that big, you put a killer instinct in him, that's pretty dangerous. That's what I've been saying for Bianca Belair all this time. Like, look at what that killer instinct has done for Drew and Rhea Ripley. Put that in her and get the fuck out the way, So I love Drew, and I do think he's doing the best work of his career right now. I love it. But WWE already went through the trouble of giving him a title match last month, which he pretty much lost clean after getting an opportunity prior to that as well, didn't he? So he's had like a couple of recent shots, even one where he's lost clean. And that doesn't mean the match can't happen at WrestleMania, but this is WrestleMania. If McIntyre and Rollins hadn't faced each other in 2 years, maybe this would be a little bit more exciting for WrestleMania, but this is a match in kind of a little mini program that we've already just seen. It's still kind of ongoing with McIntyre and Rollins, and now McIntyre, targeting CM Punk with his injury sets up a program for when Punk comes back. So I don't want to see Drew win the Chamber. I don't. I might be in the minority on that. That's why I want to see Sami Zayn get involved here and somehow win. Get in the Chamber last minute and win it. I don't think they'd be making a big deal about him and his desires to get to Mania and be a champion if they weren't going to follow through with any of that. So get in the Chamber and win it. McIntyre and Orton, they had that face-off on Friday night on SmackDown, where WWE might say, okay, we're going to make the fans think it's going to be one of these guys winning the Chamber, but it might be neither, and that might be our WrestleMania match. And I know, again, we've gotten Orton and McIntyre in the past as well, but now we have sadistic McIntyre, against the most sadistic in the game, pretty much, in Randy Orton. That might, a 2024 McIntyre and Orton match might be kind of cool on WrestleMania, and I wouldn't hate it, especially if they made it a number one contenders match. Winner of this match gets a championship match at Backlash, right? France. And then have McIntyre win. And the shot is for the World Heavyweight title, which maybe Rollins has, maybe Priest has, maybe Sammy has. We don't know. Then it could be Drew and Sammy for the title at Backlash. And maybe CM Punk screws Drew. And that, boom, there's your WrestleMania match. Or I'm sorry, SummerSlam match. Drew and Punk. You don't necessarily need a title for that. Plus, I wouldn't be putting Punk in any title programs anyway right now. He's got to prove himself first that he can work more than a day and a half without getting injured, because otherwise I wouldn't even consider putting a belt on CM Punk. He might never be champion again if he can't hold up. So having a championship there in a feud when that match takes place might complicate things. So maybe don't have Drew win the title for a while. Maybe his championship run comes later in the year. I still don't even know if the dude has re-signed his contract. I feel like he has, because if you're going to plant the seeds and even create merch for a program that's several months away because Punk is injured. Why would you start all that if Drew wasn't going to be around? They're going to have Drew attack Punk and then leave and go to AEW, and then Punk comes back. Where's Drew? No, I don't think they did that. I think Drew's probably already re-signed, or they're not worried about it. But I think Drew for WrestleMania does not need to be the one to win the Elimination Chamber. But I guess if he did, it would be him and Seth on night 2. I mean, shit, you got to think about Priest and a cash-in too, so I don't know. But McIntyre, I'm kind of voting no on him for the Chamber, just because I want Sammy. So let me know what you guys think about that. Oh, yeah, you said Sammy. Oh, sorry. Trying to refresh my chat there. I froze. Sami Zayn is going to come out and cost Drew McIntyre his match. What, next week? Yeah, he probably will. He'll come out and do the same thing that maybe McIntyre did tonight. I mean, McIntyre, all he did was distract. He didn't fully get involved tonight, did he? And so Sammy can give him a receipt for that next week. That would be the perfect way to set it up, which is why we got the finish we saw tonight on Raw. Next week, Sami Zayn distracting McIntyre, Crossroads for the win for Cody. And then we'll see what that means for Sammy and Drew. It might be fun if that led to another McIntyre and Sammy match. Now Drew's pissed, challenges Sammy, and Sammy's like, why don't you put your spot in the chamber on the line, and beats him or something. I think Sammy and Drew should both be in the chamber. So anyway, that left us with LA Knight taking on Ivar. This was another Elimination Chamber qualifier. Get used to the possibility of LA Knight being on Monday Night Raw. I feel like he's going to move over after WrestleMania whenever they do the next draft, which we've heard no announcement of. I just feel like in my gut, we're going to get one pretty close after WrestleMania. Maybe not right after, maybe not a week after, but maybe a month or something. Draft should happen. And I think LA Knight's going to move to Raw. And I could also see the IC title going back to SmackDown. If Gunther's the champion, maybe he's dropped the title by then. The IC goes to SmackDown. I also think it's very possible that the World Heavyweight titles switch brands as well. WWE's done that a lot in the past. And you guys let me know in the chat, do you know what the rule is? Is there what if a guy from the other brand beats and wins the title? What moves, the competitor or the championship? I'm not even sure what the freaking rule is on that. You guys tell me. Sorry, I just briefly lost my place, and I want to make sure I'm back to where I'm supposed to be so I don't miss anything from you guys. There we go. So I feel like after WrestleMania, that might be fun. It might be fun to see the champions swap spots, because if Cody beats Roman, I have been talking about that for a while, and I've just kind of been speaking from the perspective of, and the assumption that if he wins the title, he'll just be on SmackDown. Maybe Cody's not on SmackDown. Maybe the title is on Raw. Who has the foothold? Where do you have to be in that situation? I think WWE's never really told us that, but they can kind of make that go any way they want. So I feel like Cody's staying on Raw. Raw's the 3-hour show. It's still the flagship show. It's going to be moving to Netflix. They might want Cody their centerpiece. Right now, I kind of think it's more likely, actually, that Roman's championship winds up on Raw than Cody winds up on SmackDown, especially now that they're wrapping up business with Fox over there anyway. Maybe they want Cody a part of that to, launch on the USA, but they might want Cody to help with the Netflix thing. So I feel like Cody will probably stay on Raw, and he'll have Roman's title over there, which means the World Heavyweight Championship is going to have to move to SmackDown. So that could be either with Seth Rollins still having the title and getting drafted over there, or by then he's lost the title. Damian Priest is now the champion. Judgment Day gets drafted over there. Something like that, I feel like, is really possible. Or maybe it's something that Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce work out. That could be a possibility as well. But anyway, backstage, before we get to the main event here, we have Sami Zayn and Drew McIntyre with a little confrontation there. Very, very tense. So setting all that up like we talked about. And then it was Sami Zayn versus Shinsuke Nakamura. I'll never forget that excellent early NXT match they had when Nakamura first came in, and how good that was. And that was right around the time when I was like, oh yeah, things are changing. And that's probably when I really started taking notice of NXT. I think it was maybe it was a couple years after they started. Like, I wasn't really watching even when like Seth and Big E and Bo Dallas, I wasn't watching during their runs. It wasn't until Sami Zayn and Nakamura and KO, that crop started coming through. I think I was watching some of the women's matches. I was aware of the Bayley and Sasha and Becky and Charlotte getting on the map, seeing some of their matches, but that would have been what, 2015? Like 9 years ago now? Where's the time going, dudes? 9 years ago, I was already doing this for 5 years. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. We're going to be old together, man. So I did like the main event on paper. Sammy's got the match won. He's about to hit the haluva kick on Shinsuke when Drew McIntyre comes down. Of course, he distracts Sami Zayn, kind of threatens to get in the ring. And of course, that's enough time for Nakamura to recover and hit the Kinshasa for the win. And then Drew McIntyre attacks after the match, put the boots to Sami Zayn, and that's when Cody Rhodes comes out to make the save. So we're probably going to set ourselves up for a pretty similar main event scenario next week, with Cody probably beating Drew with a little nod or assist from Sami Zayn. And then we're back into Mania discussion and chamber discussion and who's going to win what and what's going to happen. I talked about the possibility of the championship belts swapping brands after WrestleMania, and I think that's possible. But you have to wonder if maybe we're going to see a bloodline shift too. You know, maybe the bloodline comes to Raw. You know, what kind of major shifts would you do? Would you leave Bloodline, Rock, and Roman on SmackDown and get Cody away from them altogether? Or do you still keep them together? I feel like with all of the shit talking and the potential tag team WrestleMania match with Roman and Rollins on opposite sides, I know we got that Rumble match a couple of years ago that Rollins won via DQ or something, right? So I feel like Rollins and Roman should happen. It should happen. And maybe Roman loses to Cody and Seth keeps his title. And then Roman challenges Seth in Saudi Arabia for the championship or something. And maybe it's Rollins, you know, who's up against a wall now and finds himself in a boat like Cody, and Cody comes and helps him out and repays the favor for Mania. Who knows? That's looking way down. But I think Mania 40 is going to be interesting. Everything's going to be interesting. Plus all the bullshit going on behind the scenes with the lawsuit in WWE right now and what changes that could bring about in the future. And what a mess. What a crazy mess. Next week, by the way, we're going to get a SmackDown double taping because Elimination Chamber, I believe, is Friday night or early Saturday morning, right? I looked it up the other night. It looks like for me, it airs at 2 a.m. on Saturday morning here on the West Coast. So how many of you in the chat are watching from overseas or not in the United States? Because I stay up really late, and this is probably only going to be a 3-hour PLE. I doubt it's going to be 4 or anything like that because it's just a small card, and it's going to be focused on the chamber matches. I'm not ruling out the possibility of me doing a live reaction. I know my audience probably wouldn't be so good because it's literally going to be in the middle of the fucking night or early in the morning on the East Coast. I believe it'll be 5 a.m. for the East Coast, but I stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning anyway, basically every night. All I'm doing is adding 1 more hour to that. So I'm not totally sure yet, but I think I might do a watch along for Elimination Chamber. Just me late at night. Maybe I'll turn the lights down, play some Barry White in the background or something. See how many of you guys join. We'll see. That might be a possibility because 1 week from tonight, by the way, I will not be here. It's Elizabeth's birthday 1 week from tonight, so we have plans. So there will be no Raw review next week. And there might be another day I'm missing too in there. Stephen Harris, you're going to watch it? Yeah, so if anybody is a night owl like me or like, oh, I'm on the West Coast, I'll stay up with you or whatever. I mean, I might do the live reaction and have 6 people in the chat, or, you know, we could have a party. You never know. Might give me a good chance to attract some more international subscribers if I'm up on YouTube and my videos are being suggested. I am hitting an algorithm wave right now, which is helping. So maybe we'll do that. We'll do an all-nighter here on the channel. All right, Leo, you're in Boston. See, it's not going to be too hard for if you live on the East Coast and you're somebody that's not a morning pussy like me, because I'm straight up suicidal if I ever have to wake up in the morning. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I like to start my day on my own pace. It's the way I've always been. It's the way I have to live to be sane. But a lot of people who are just naturally early people, like my whole family gets up early somehow. I'm just the only one who doesn't. You don't have to get up that early, if you live on the East Coast, just wake up a little early, turn it on while you're in bed. That's kind of what I do here sometimes for the Crown Jewel events. So yeah, let's do it. Maybe we'll do that for, I'm still saying maybe because I got to confirm that in my head that that's possible. But yeah, I'll work that night. I'll be home in plenty of time. I'll try to keep myself awake. All I need is a little bit of some energy drinks and maybe some meth. Maybe I'll go find some meth. Yeah, that'll work. And then I'll be up and ready to rock all night long. Little elimination chamber and meth. Yeah, join us. They got WWE speed. Why not good mic work meth? I'm kidding. Don't do meth, kids. It's bad for you. It's bad for you. Jordan, you're like me. I hear you. Oh, okay, Daniel. Damn, I have surgery just a couple of weeks or a couple of days before the chamber. Depending on how you feel, you will join live. All right. Yeah. Well, good luck with that surgery. Yeah. If you're awake, join us, please. Juliet could make it work with a lot of coffee. All right. 5 a.m. So you're East Coaster too. I don't mind though. I like that we're a bunch of brats here in the States and it wouldn't kill us to actually have to wake up or watch a pay-per-view at a bad time. We've been doing it for a little while now with Crown Jewel, but international fans have been doing it their whole life. Every show is like this for them. So if we have to deal with one once, twice, several times now, probably per year, as it does look like WWE is getting serious with this international expansion, there's going to be more and more of these, but we've had it easy up until now, so we have no room to bitch or complain. We should get into some wrestling news too before I get out of here. It sounds like Kazuchika Okada is going to AEW. Sounds like it's a done deal. I think he's got one more match left in New Japan. Will Ospreay had his final deal a couple of nights ago. Here's what Fightful Select had to say about Okada today. Okada is headed to All Elite Wrestling after leaving New Japan. We're told that the deal was effectively agreed to in the last couple of weeks, but we haven't confirmed that pen has been put to paper, as we're told it's still being finalized. AEW has been confident that they'd land him for the last several weeks, even as far back as mid-January. We haven't heard firm plans on when Okada is slated for his debut. However, we've heard it's expected to be after he finishes up his commitments with New Japan. There had already been creative ideas for Okada tossed around as of January. We've also heard discussion out of Las Vegas this past weekend discussing that the first half of March would be big for the company. WWE talent sources that we spoke to in Vegas did claim that there were talks between Okada and WWE, but WWE have denied that. We've heard from WWE talent who noted Okada was weighing the pros and cons of heading to WWE compared to AEW. In the end, we're told that AEW was very confident in their offer to Okada. It was noted that there were no real discussions of Okada going to NXT as rumored. A lot of people felt like if he went to WWE or there was a rumor that he would start in NXT, I wasn't going to freak out about that. I wouldn't consider Okada going to NXT means that he needs to be trained or anything. It's not that. He's coming to a different production. It's more than just in the ring now. A lot of this is production and, how one company operates compared to another, and getting him acclimated to the system isn't a bad thing. So if he went to NXT and just did a couple of quick appearances there, I would not shit my pants. That's pointless. But sounds like it's a non-issue because he ain't going there at all. I like this. I like this move a lot. I did hope that he was going to WWE. I will admit, I was hoping that Okada would go to WWE. I thought that would be really cool. Bring him in for Mania or something. But only because I was kind of being selfish. I wanted to see that visual. I've gotten the Okada in AEW visual. He's going to be great there, but we've already seen him a couple times. He even casually strolled into Dynamite one week and worked a tag match. So, his debut isn't going to be that huge because it's already something we've seen a couple of times, several times. And even though it's awesome that he's now with us, he's here in the States, working a full-time contract with the promotion here. And to be able to see him as an American wrestling fan all the time now is awesome, but I was still kind of hoping he would go to WWE because I thought he would look really great there. And especially if he came out and beat Gunther in a open challenge or something, I thought would have been awesome. But he's going to be going to AEW. And like I said, I think that's really great because it shows that competition is still alive and well. These are big names, 3 big ones, free agents that all I think would have had huge potential in WWE. Mercedes Moné going back there, Sasha Banks returning to the company would have been a lot of fun, especially right now with what's going on with Bayley and, basically giving us hope once again that we could actually get a fatal 4-way with the 4 horsewomen, at WrestleMania. Ospreay going there, would have been, of course, incredible as well, thinking about his WrestleMania entrances, and same with Okada, but they all went to AEW. So the fact that, AEW, after all the turmoil they've recently been through in the last couple of years with the CM Punk debacle and a few things along the road there that took place that made the company look bad, made their leadership look bad, issues with talent morale, things seemed to be a little bit chaotic there for a while, to the point where talent was starting to want to leave. Andrade bounced. Malachi Black would go if he could. William Regal left. Cody Rhodes left. Jade Cargill left. Not the most flattering stories behind the scenes of what's going on there, but they kept rallying. There's been a lot of key players there. The Jericho stuff as well. All that controversy. None of this stuff is good, but you still had some positives in the company. You had a lot of people working hard. You had good, company locker room leaders like your Moxleys and your Danielsons, keeping people mostly on track. A lot of good, big time internal hires in AEW, really, securing themselves in terms of having a good team behind them. They have a good relationship despite everything, despite, the ratings at that stagnant 800,000, which is where they've seemed to be for a while. They rank in the top 2 or 3 every single week on cable, sometimes number 1. Warner Brothers Discovery has publicly shown support for them, and they're in no danger of losing their deal. They're going to get a new deal. They're going to sign a new deal. They're going to get on a streaming platform. None of this has happened yet, but it will. And they're going to continue to grow. And the fact that they're kind of on I guess the Vince stuff might have played a role as well, but it did a major swing there. Think about how we felt as wrestling fans. I'm talking to the non-tribal dipshits, or we're not dipshits. I'm not talking to the tribal dipshits. I'm talking to us normal fans. Think about where our minds were at in 2021 in terms of the 2 companies and which one seemed to be kind of the more exciting product to watch, and how that drastically reversed itself with the Punk and the Brawl In, the Brawl Out and all that stuff, and AEW kind of crumbling from within, while at the same time Vince leaves and WWE hits this white hot time period. And then the Vince McMahon lawsuit and scandal hits, and now it's maybe brought WWE down a peg or 2, but they're still doing excellent TV, doing great ratings and doing great attendance, and are going to have a pretty huge WrestleMania. So they are still operating on a high level, and they're still a very attractive place to go if you're a pro wrestler. And the fact that AEW was able to keep Ospreay, Mercedes, and Okada from signing there, and they didn't lose any of them, is pretty incredible. So that's big. It's all about the follow through now. You can have all the talent in the world. It's all about how you use this talent and what you can do with them, and make use of the money you're paying them and the investment, and get the most out of them to where you can compete more on a ratings and business level with WWE. And these are big, humongous pieces. And I think it's going to be a big year for AEW. I think it's going to be a big year for WWE. And I'm feeling really good about WrestleMania now with the whole Rock heel turn. I think that's going to be tons of fun, as long as they don't give us some bullshit finish that pisses the entire wrestling universe off at the close of WrestleMania. WWE's in a pretty good spot right now. AEW is trying to rebound from the bullshit, and they've been doing a pretty good job at doing that. If you actually watch the product, some of the issues, the glaring issues that we were facing last year, are being improved upon. They are, and they're even running a little bit smaller buildings now, which I've said all along. I used to say that about WWE back in the day. Remember, 6 or 7 years ago, they were doing shit for attendance. All these little asshole punks that are posting the pictures of the hard cam shit in AEW. I'm like, WWE was just doing the same thing not 5 years ago. You had a whole damn arena taped off, 20,000 seat arena. You got 4,000 people there just clustered in, this small ass attendance, sometimes less than that. And it was an embarrassing low amount of people. And you could tell. And I'm like, Why doesn't WWE just rent smaller buildings? And that way, if 5,000 people are going to be there, rent out a 6,000 seat place and it looks full, you can have a more energetic environment, more intimate. It would be way more fun. And it looks like AEW is doing a little bit more of that now. You know, if they're only drawing 5,000 for Dynamites, why do you need to be in a 20,000 seat arena? I'd be in a small one too. Young Bucks are doing hilarious stuff. I like what Adam Copeland's doing. They're doing some good things right now, and I'm hoping that AEW can have a solid 2024 because we don't want them to fail or go away. Competition is healthy. Competition brings out the best. Competition is the best for the fans. The normal and well-adjusted ones that aren't obsessed with stupid tribal nonsense. But when you're a wrestling fan, this is what you want to see: healthy competition. You want to see free agents to where it's just not a done deal. Oh, of course they're going to go to WWE. No, you have choices now. You got an agent. You can weigh your options. What's my schedule going to be like here? What's it going to be like there? How am I going to be featured? How much am I going to get paid? These are all things that you can weigh now that wrestlers really didn't have, years ago when it was just kind of TNA was your only other option. And before that, we had this with WCW. So the fact that all three of those names went to AEW is a good indicator that they are not by any means dead in the water. They better take advantage of this, and follow through and use the talent they have to the best of their abilities. And for fuck's sake, Tony Khan, take some creative advice from people who have been doing this longer than you, please. Other than that, I got nothing but luck and well wishes to send them. So we will see. Will Ospreay, last match, last night, saw a little clip of that online. Tearful farewell. I think there was some crazy 10-man cage match or something at the end of New Beginning. And he was tearing up and everything. But, it's got to be hard for him, too, to leave there. But the good news is he's in AEW, which means he still has a half a foot in the door. So Forbidden Door coming up. And I think he could definitely make a return visit to New Japan pretty much at any time. Maybe they wait a year and maybe he works Wrestle Kingdom, this coming year or something, who knows. But I feel like that audience with Ospreay and AEW gives them a chance to see him again, which is good. I'm out of shit to say, y'all. That's the end of it. So what do you guys want to talk about in the chat before I get out of here? TK needs to stay off Twitter when he's in one of his ranting moods. I was worried about him a few nights ago when the Stardom news went down, and he started to tweet out some GIFs, and I'm like, oh God, somebody take his phone, chuck it in the toilet, get it away from him. I thought the floodgates were about to open, but he kept it together. So good for him. It needs to be an issue that I think more directly threatens him to where he gets really pissed. But yeah, just stay off Twitter. Just keep your cool. That was one of my biggest pieces of advice to Tony Khan the last time this happened. And he had one of his days where he was just going nuts. And of course, I'm like, all you're doing is right. You already have the craziest haters. Tony Khan, every person, public figure has their haters, right? There's nothing quite like a Tony Khan hater. There's nothing more bizarre, more pathetically obsessed and weak than a Tony Khan hater. It's one thing to criticize the guy for being weird like I do, and I laugh at him when he screams his announcements at us, or, he's making goofy ass faces or whatever, or if he's making some booking decisions that I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Of course, we criticize him, but, we're not obsessed with him. We don't hate him. Our whole fucking timeline isn't dedicated to shitting on him and calling him all of the other nicknames that other people made up that you just repeat. I don't have that type of time in my life to be that stupid. So I have no issue with him, but you do know how he can be on social media. And I think that if he just cools it, he won't give the haters anything to use on him, because then they become just even more obsessed. Don't give them ammo. Don't keep giving them material, because when you don't give them material, what are they? All they're going to do is just turn themselves in circles. They're just going to go round and round. It's like when that lead ant dies and then they just keep going around in a circle till they die. That's what they'll do, because they're just fucking followers. They're just ants. So don't give them ammo. Like Tony Khan should just be the quiet booker behind the scenes. Don't have any social media presence at all outside of his typical promotion shit. You know, justify this is awesome chants and crap like that. Join us tonight for Dynamite on TBS. That type of shit. No opinions. Don't freak out. Don't fly off the rails. Nothing like that. I would even stay out of the scrums. I would have a figurehead for that. I would have a commissioner or something that maybe handled that, or a different, maybe a vice president that actually does have the title, not a kayfabe title, but a real title that does this. And Tony Khan can just be, the man behind the curtain type of thing, to where we sometimes see him turn up every now and then, like Jack Tunney used to do. That might be the best thing for him. And imagine that. Imagine if Tony Khan just went like radio silent for 2 years, outside of just the occasional promotional tweets for AEW. He doesn't say anything else at all. You barely hear from him at all. Then what are the fans going to continue to bitch about? What are they going to continue to do? Because if he did that and the fans just continued to complain, they're just going to be making stuff up. They're just going to be making stuff up. They're just going to try to, they'll just use the product. The product will be their number one target now. So everything that happens on the product, see, he's doing too much coke. He booked so-and-so to win. They won't have anything. They'll have to look even dumber than they already look. So Tony Khan, if you're listening to this, I know it might seem unfair to you. Why should I have to shut down my social media? You shouldn't, but unfortunately you're in the wrestling business and you're surrounded by a bunch of fucking wackos. So if you just shut up and don't say anything and just do your job, book your promotion, sign your talent, focus on your TV, focus on your pay-per-view, and then the fans, they'll still be crazy, but at least they will be exposing themselves as the obsessive weirdos they are if you just don't give them any material, because he can't, anything he does, it doesn't matter what, whatever he says, they just come, so maybe you guys can help me out with this, but I personally don't know what it's like to be that obsessed with somebody. It's really disturbing when you look at social media. It's laughable on one hand, but at the same time, it's like, what do these people's bedrooms smell like is what I want to know, because everything is just so hateful. And the worst of the ones, the cringiest of the ones, are the ones that tag. I saw on Twitter the anti-AEW Justice League. Anytime there's a botch or a weird move in AEW, you just see people at Jim Cornette, at Eric Bischoff, at Brian Last. Very original. Like, what kind of life do you have that you have to run right to somebody else so they can tell you how to feel? Am I the only one that thinks that's fucking crazy? And it's everywhere. It permeates the social media wrestling landscape. These dolts, these directionless, unoriginal, womanless, friendless, smelly fucks with nothing in their life to live for. The only victories they can get are when they listen to somebody like a Cornette insult AEW and they whack off. That is the wins that are most important to them in life. I think that's sad. I think that's really sad. And I try not to, at this point, let it bother me. I'm always going to be very vocal about how I think tribal fans are idiots, because I'll never not think that. But sometimes it's so pathetic that you just have to laugh, and you just have to take comfort in knowing that all this hate that they spew is because they are miserable. All this hate that they spew is because nobody likes them. All this hate that they spew is because they have 5 followers and a 6.5 mile long timeline of hate with 0 likes and a whole bunch of numbers behind their name and something about being a proud father and an American in their bio. Jesus Christ. So I think that when it comes to curbing that a little bit, I think some people who might be a polarizing figure need to maybe take some responsibility there. And Tony Khan might realize my mere existence seems to be harming this company, but I can't go away. I own the fucking company and I'm not going to run away from these pricks. But maybe if I'm saying things or I let something upset me, anything I say on social media is likely going to do more damage than good. And unfortunately, too, one thing you got to think about Tony Khan, I don't know anything about his personal life, but this guy doesn't have a wife. And a lot of times, the significant other can be a voice of reason. Because if you're sitting in your living room or you're sitting wherever and your wife's right next to you and you start getting yourself riled up, you need somebody to be like, babe, chill the fuck out. Don't even give them the time of day. You got better things to do. Go make me some toast, or just something, just somebody to be there to where you're not just alone in your own thoughts. And I think with Tony Khan, I don't know who he has in his life, but I think he needs that. And I think maybe a woman in his life would help him, would help a lot of fans too. But maybe it's something like that. Maybe he needs a best friend or somebody that he's just tight with, or just a close confidant that he's in constant contact with, that can maybe, that he trusts enough, that they could tell him, do you have any idea, Tony, how crazy they're going to be if you say that? They're going to be coming at you. I mean, pitchforks and everything. They're going to be out. Do you want to do that or rethink that tweet? And then maybe after he calms down for a minute, he thinks better of it and maybe saves himself some grief, because more often than not, the tweeting escapades and rampages that Tony Khan has gone on, has been more negative than positive. He's occasionally popped me with something that he said. I'm like, that's fucking hilarious, that he would actually take the time to throw shade there. And I like that, but those moments are rare. He's only had a couple of them where I've actually liked what he said. Otherwise, I'm like, I don't know, dude. Kind of a bad look. Might want to chill that out, because you got to think about wrestlers too, People who work for him say nothing but good things, but is that somebody you want to work for? Right now, I don't see the harm in working for somebody like Tony Khan, because he's not doing what the other guy was doing. That's for sure. Yeah, Jordan, touch that grass, man. Touch it. Sniff it. Tony Khan is 40 years old, huh? Oh, wow. He's 43. Okay, he's younger than me. Yeah, exactly. Like I want to go back to the days of where you can, because nowadays it's like, it's hard to even be critical. Like, we've criticized AEW a bunch of times, but now it just feels like you're either accused of being a shill or you're just a full blown hater. You can't even be objective anymore. So you're either accused of this. I've been accused of both. I've been accused of being paid by Tony Khan and hating AEW by, like, what are they? AEW Freakazoids. See, that's just like Crybabies. It's a stupid name. It's lame. It's the best you can come up with. Freakazoid and Crybaby. Come on. No wonder wrestling fans tag Jim Cornette and everything, because they don't have an original thought. But I feel like supporting wrestling is what's important. And I feel like supporting wrestling and being more positive about it and fair with your criticisms without having any, too many personal dogs in the fight, which is what a lot of fans' problem is, because they got to be right and they got to troll the other side, and that's all they have to live for, but I just kind of want wrestling to be good, and I want healthy competition, so it's, for me as a fan, nothing that I've seen from AEW or WWE has upset me. I've never once been pissed, freaking out, yelling at Tony Khan, this guy's a disgrace. I've been a little bit pissed about Vince McMahon and what he's been doing, but in terms of the company's products, AEW and WWE, their on-screen television products, it's been kind of fun to watch them both kind of flop. I mean, AEW was on fire in 2021 and WWE couldn't get any dumber. And then a year later, you fast forward 1 year and the pendulum swings. You fast forward another year after that, and WWE is white hot with a whole roster full of over talent that fans are invested in. And that is amazing. And AEW starts sliding down the ranks a bit, decrease in ticket sales and things like that. And now it feels like, with the Vince McMahon lawsuit, WWE came down a couple of pegs, and now AEW is trying to rebound and rebuild and learn from some past mistakes and try to have a big year with a new rights deal, possibly a streaming platform deal as well, and take that company, into its next chapter. So it could be a great year for wrestling. And I think if fans would put aside the petty online wars that they allow themselves to get sucked into, they might actually enjoy both of these products, that they would just stop being a follower of other people and just be a follower of your own thoughts. Think for yourself, develop your own opinions, and don't let anybody do it for you. That is my advice to everybody out there. So I hope you enjoyed that lecture from Uncle Greg. My God. I think I got to get out of here now. I am pretty much done with our notes on everything. Yeah, we've hit it all. So whatever you guys want to talk about. Ava Rain did shut down her social media, which sucks because it seemed like she was handling it like a champ at first. I saw a tweet from her and I was almost like proud of her. I don't remember what the tweet said, but it was the tone or the context of the tweet. And I was like, good for her. You could tell that it didn't bother her. And I was like, that's important because, you know, when these fucking assholes and they come at these innocent people and wishing them death, you know, in a time period in this world when, you know, mental health is so important, you know, and it amazes me that this type of hate and negativity can still flow out there, you know, by just miserable pieces of shit. And so you just got to know that they're miserable pieces of shit and not let it affect you. I don't give a fuck what people say to me. I don't care. But I'm also older than Ava Rain, you know, and when you're younger and, you know, the hazing and the bullying and the nonsense she probably already gets on social media for other reasons. And then this stuff with The Rock, you know, she, I guess, shut her shit down. She'll be back though. She's The Rock's daughter. She has nothing to ever be ashamed. She goes, I'm The Rock's daughter. I'm living better than you. Johnny Assboy or whoever is talking smack to her on social media. She's got a better life. And from what I understand, people like her. She's a sweetheart. Yeah, Juliet, I would love for Danielson to have a major role in AEW if he stuck around. I think he's already kind of halfway there, kind of has that backstage role. He lost last night. Zack Sabre Jr. beat him, right? So, or on a New Beginning. So not, I keep saying last night. And if he wraps up his career, I would rather him be in AEW, yeah, than coming back to WWE and being an agent or something, because I think he would be, you know, like, I don't really care for him much now, but I used to respect him a lot. Tony Dungy, former coach in Indianapolis Colts, they won the Super Bowl, I guess in like 06 or 07, right? And Peyton Manning, of course, at quarterback. And I always liked Tony Dungy because the players respected him. They played hard for him. And he wasn't like a screaming and yelling maniac, you know, and I thought he showed that you don't have to be that way. You don't have to intimidate to have respect. He was soft-spoken, you know, he might be angry at times, but, you know, when you think of, you know, how crazy and over the top, you know, a lot of coaches in the NFL and any sport can really be. And even people, you know, in the business world and corporate world, they, you know, they have to convince, you know, they have to intimidate you and make you fear them. Why? Why do you have to fear them? You know, why can't you just be cool? That was a philosophy I adopted as a boss for years in restaurants. I'm like, I'm not going to be a pushover, but I am not going to be a tyrant either. And you just got to find a balance there. And I think Danielson, you know, he's a guy that I don't think would ever like make an emotional decision or fly off the rails or get mad or find somebody the way Vince McMahon fined Jericho and Batista for the blood and the cage thing. And he's probably a level-headed person, you know, as long as he's okay with taking this job, you know, backstage, if he has to be back there as a confidant to Tony Khan, or he has to maybe be a part of making some difficult decisions. He already was. He was a big part of that decision to remove CM Punk from AEW. So that's probably going to be the biggest decision he's ever going to be a part of, quite frankly. Everything should be easier from here. But yeah, I vote for Danielson too. I hope that he accepts or assumes, I should say, a backstage role in AEW after his in-ring career is over. Bret Hart did speak on Vince McMahon. He did voice his disapproval there and basically called it disgusting. I'd never shake his hand again if I saw him, and said that he's going to, you know, be remembered as being a disgraced son of a bitch. And he is. And he is. That's amazing. It's still kind of blowing my mind, a lot of that stuff. And we'll be talking more about that a lot soon in the future. There will probably be Vince news pretty soon. It's just an ever-evolving thing. So I think at some point we're going to hear some more news. If we do, I will be back here to talk about it. As of now, of course, podcast on Saturday as normal. You might get me on Friday. I got some free time on Friday. You might get me for a video Might find a mic drop or two to stick up. I am still working on some members and Patreon videos. I have like 5 of them. I'm just trying to find time to edit them. And of course, we have the watch along on Sunday, but I'll try to get some sort of content up here for you guys between now and then. And of course, this will be a really fun weekend coming up. So you guys have a great rest of your night. Thank you so much for being here. Oh, by the way, Daniel Tito is here. He is hanging out right below me, asleep as always. So thank you for asking. Oh, okay. Oh, you mean Brett's talking about I did see Brett's comments on the slaps and the chops recently too, but Brett has a lot of opinions. A lot of those old timers just kind of forget that wrestling has evolved. They're just stuck in their ways. The way they feel, the way they did it is the way it should still be done. And that is the case in certain situations, but doesn't apply in all. And with the changes the business has undergone, since a lot of these guys were in their prime, doesn't really make that stuff valid sometimes. And I think they got to at least understand that. Some of them don't, but who cares? Brett's still my favorite wrestler. He always will be. You guys take care. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. And thanks for sitting through my rambling. My God, we almost went 2 hours and the last 45 minutes of this was nonsense. So thank you so much for being here again. You guys are the best. Have